Hello guys, so welcome back to our 100 days coding challenge. So for today, we're going to be building something like this from scratch. So this is just to help us put together everything we've learned thus far from, day one. And I'm sure that you are all conversant with all these things already. So we're going to see how we can put them together. Starting from creating a navbar to a Euro session, creating a button, and then creating another section, which is about us section, and then our services section, and then a footer section. So this is a simple one web page that we're creating. So it's not linking to any other external page, as you can see. So it links directly to itself. So if I tap on about, it takes us to about us area. If I tap on services, it takes us to the services area, just like that. So this is what we'll try and recreate today in today's session. Now, let me say this: if you've not subscribed, please kindly do so, and then also tap that notification icon, the bell icon, so that whenever we upload a new video, you get instant reminder or instant notification. Okay, let's go ahead and create this. So to start this, we're going to open our Visual Studio Code. And here in our Visual Studio Code, we have our folder, which we've already created, called the 100 days folder. 100 days folder. So our 100 days web page, sorry. So here we will create our HTML file and our CSS file. You already have a folder here that carries the images that we're going to be using for our project. So let's go ahead and create our HTML file that we'll use to write our HTML code, and our CSS file that we'll use to write our style sheet. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do that right away. And so while this is open, so we want to create it inside the 100 days folder, not inside the images folder. So inside the 100 days folder, we're going to create that. So first we create index.html. Right, the extension matters. And then second, we'll create our styles.css. Style.css. Okay, so now we have our index.html, and then we'll have our style.css file created. And the next thing we'll do is to start coding. And to start, we'll just generate a boilerplate. And to do that is exclamation mark, and then you hit the enter key in your keyboard. So now we'll change our title to 100 days, 100 days web page. Because just one web page we are creating. The next thing we'll do is to link our CSS file, which is this file here. Link it to our HTML so that we're able to style with it. The next thing we will do is to have our five icon. So now we're going to go to images, and then we'll pick the five icon image. So you can also, have your own five icon inside your image folder so that you can use that. So here, the relationship is icon. All right. So now we have our image, you have our style sheet linked, we have our five icon. We already know what the five icon is. The icon at the top of the web page is our five icon, right? So I will show us that. So let's just continue. The next thing we'll do is to start building our project. And the first thing we'll do here is to create our nav bar. So this is five icon. You see this icon here is five icon. So that's what we just linked there. So this is what we're looking at to create our own. So let's go ahead and save this, and then let's go to our desktop and then see how we can open. So we want to open this with Microsoft Edge. Yeah. So now you see we have our five icon here, but nothing is inside our web page. So let's start building it and start putting content inside our web page. Right, so let's start with the nav bar. Here we'll create our nav. And inside our nav, we'll create a div. So this div is going to carry our logo. Let's give this a class. I'll give it a class of logo, just like that. And here, we want this to be an anchor tag so that when we tap on it, it brings out that human hand as if it wants to link us to something. All right, so here we'll just link it to the header section, which is the index.html. So we're not pushing it to anywhere, so we can just link it to index.html. So if you tap on a logo anywhere you are, HTML, anywhere you are in the website, it takes you to the home page. But we don't have another web page here, just one web page that we have here. And then let's give our logo a name. Let's call it S dev, like S developer. Okay, so that is it for our logo. And since we have that, the next thing we'll be doing is to then have our unordered list. Right. And inside our unordered list, we're going to have our list here, our LI, which is the list. So this is where we will write our navigation item. So here, let's use the anchor tag again so that it's linkable. So here I will just link it to the home page. So I will link it to home. So let's link it to index.html. Okay. And here, this is home. Just like that. And we just copy this and paste it 4 more times. So I copy with Ctrl C and then I paste with Ctrl V. Okay, something like that. And then the next thing we will do is to change this. So we change this to about. And here, because we are not linking to any external page, we're going to use the hash sign and then just say about, so that when we tap on it, it takes us to the about section inside the same web page. So here we'll do services. So we use the hash sign and then services. Let's also change this to services. Here we'll do contact here. Okay. And here let's change this to we don't have contact area in our web page. So let's just let's still link it to contact it because we're not going to an external web page. All right, so just one web page, and here we'll have so this is blog. This is blog. So let's link this to footer. We're going to have a footer section here. So let's link this to footer so that when we tap on contact, it takes us to footer. Okay, so I think that is all for our navigation. Let's save and see how our website is coming up. Yeah, so we have that. We have our logo, and then we'll have our list items here for our navigation. Let's go ahead and continue. Okay, I'm trying to look at just to make sure that we don't have any error anywhere. That's one thing I like to do when I write my code. I just try to look at it, carefully. All right, so I think that's fine. Let's move to the hero session. So here we're going to create a session. And before then, let's have our comments. Remember, I taught us about comments in HTML. So let's have our comments here. And then let's call this navigation section. Also, we don't have to look for it, so we can easily see it and know that, hey, this area is navigation session. So the next session is going to be the hero session. So let's also have a comment here that say, hey, this is our hero session. Something like that. Okay, and then Now we'll have our section for Euro. So let's give it a class name or a class ID. Let's use an ID, and let's call this Euro. So like I told us, ID for styling is a hash sign. Class for styling is the period or full stop sign. That's what you use. Okay. So here, let's look at what we are trying to copy, the web page you are trying to copy. So the Euro section here, we have an H1 tag that carries the welcome to our website, and then we'll have a P tag that just have random text about our website, and then we'll also have a logo, a button here that takes us to the about us section. Okay, so let's try and see how we can set these three items inside our section. So let's go back to our web page. Here we're going to have a div. So let's have a div here. Whoops, not there. Let's have a div here. And in this div, we're going to call our div Euro content. So we are able to style it. So let's give it Euro content, something like that. So inside our Euro content container, which is a div now, we're going to have H1 tag, we're going to have a P tag, and then we're going to have a button tag. Okay. We're going to have a button tag. So let's go ahead and do that. So inside this, our div that we've created here, the first thing I'm going to do is to have my H1 tag here. All right. And inside my H1 tag, I'm just going to say, welcome to my website. Let me personalize it so you can personalize your own. Welcome to my website, just like that. And then here, we're going to have a P tag. And in this P tag, I will just have some random text inside the P tag. Just some random text inside the P tag. And to do that, I will use lorem imsu, something like this. And let me see how I can cut this down. So let's use the break tag just to break it. So arrow here. And then the arrow here. Just to make sure that we break the lines, and the arrow here. Okay. So the next thing we will do is to have our button tag. To have our button, I want us to wrap our button inside the head tag so that it can show us that and that we can navigate if we tap on the button, so that we can navigate to the about us section. So here we just inside the ref we just use about, because we want this button to take us to the about us section when we tap on it. And let's give it a class, and let's call this Euro button, so that we're able to style it. Euro button, just like that. And then what do we want people to see when they tap, before they tap on the button? Let's just say see more, just like what we have in our other website, see more. And then that is it for the HTML code for our Euro section. That is all. So let's see how our website is coming up. Okay, so we have something like this now. This is how our website is coming up to us, looking pretty, yeah. But not really. So this is our button, this is our text, and this is our header. And so let's go ahead and create our next section. I want us to create the whole HTML files, and then when we are done, we can start styling our web page. So here, the next section is going to be the about section. So here we will just write here in our comments about section. This comment, it's important. Try to learn this. Try to always comment on your code, so that when you're looking for something, if you have very large website and you're looking for something, it's easier for you to navigate to that place by just looking at your comments. So here we'll have a section here. Add a section, and let's give our section an ID. So here we'll just call our section about, because it's about our section. So let's just call it about. Okay, so let's see what we have the about us section. So the about us section will just have header tag, a header, and then we'll have a paragraph. And I think this is H2 that was used here. So we can try that and see. So we have just two items here inside the container header and then the P tag. Header and the P tag. That's all we have here. So let's go ahead and see how we can write that. So inside our section, we can decide to have a div that can carry the two. So we'll create a div, and inside the div, we can put our header tag and our P tag. But since we just have two items, I can also decide to just do just write them inside the section like that. So here I will just have a test that will let people know that this is about our section. So I will just say about us, something like this. And then the next thing I will do is to have my P tag, and this P tag is just to generate random contents. So I will use maybe I should copy, no, let's continue. I will just use lorem, and then let me also cut this down. So just break it so that we have it in different lines. So have that, and then let me copy this. And then I will just paste it again. I want us to have two paragraphs. So okay. So we'll have two paragraph tags here, instead of one, so that we have more text. I think that is fine. So that's it for our about us session. So let's see what we'll have here. So we'll have something like this. Okay, so that's it for about us session. Then let's go ahead and go to our next session. And our next session is the services session. So the services session will have a header tag, and then we'll also have three services card that have text, header, and paragraph. So we'll try and create one, and then we'll copy and paste for the other two. So we'll create one card, and then we'll copy and paste. But first, let's have our section created, and then also have our header before we can start creating the cards. All right, so that's what we're going to do. We'll have our sessions created, and once we are done creating our sessions, then we can then create our cards. So let's go and do that. So here, the first thing we'll do is to what? Is to have a comment. So we say services section, just like that. And then here, let's have our section tag, and let's give this an ID, and then the ID should be services. Okay. So we have an ID. The next thing we'll do is to have our H1 tag, which is, H2 tag, which is the header of this, that will just say our services. So now let's now create our card. So we are creating these three cards. Now we have this already, our services. So let's create these three cards now. All right. So to create that, I think it should just be proper that we'll have a div. So we'll have a div that can carry our cards. Okay. So the first thing we'll do is to create a parent div and call that, give that a name, and then we'll create the children inside the parent div. So this is what I mean. So here we just create a div here, and inside this div, let's give it a class name, and let's call it service list or service whatever. So let's call it service list. So we have a div. Now this is a parent div that will carry the three other divs that will be this cards. So we're going to have a parent div that carries these three cards now. Okay. So here then have our next div, which will be the first card, just like that. And here, let's also give it a class name. Let's give that a class name to differentiate that from the first one. And let's call these service items. Let's call these service items or something like that, or item. Okay, since we're having three cards, let's say item. Now we have that. So the first thing we'll do is to write our header tag that is inside the card, and then also a paragraph that is also one paragraph tag. So that is also there. So let's go ahead and have our H2 inside this div, and here we'll call this anything. We can give it a name or service one or whatever. So let me call this and say web design. So this is part of our services, web design. And let's just put random test about our web design here. Okay, so we'll have random test about web design here. So the next thing we will do is to create the next card. Remember, we have just two information here in the card, this and this. So now let's go ahead and create the next card. So we've created one card, and then we'll just copy and paste to create the two other cards, if that makes sense. So we'll just copy and paste to create the two other cards. So where are we copying from? We're going to copy from the opening of this div, which is here. Here, that's where we're copying from. So we'll copy from here to here. So we copy here, and then we'll come after the closing tag of this div now. We're going to paste here 1, and then we'll paste again 2, so that we have this 3 cards. And see what we have. So now we have our services, and then we have our 3 cards. But let's change now these services. We don't just offer web design service. Let's also change it and have 2 other services that we also render. So here inside the H2 tag, we're going to change this and say, let's call this graphic design. All right, and then inside here, the second card, let's change this and let's give it UI UX design. Okay. So that is that for this session. We are done with our services section. Okay, I'm seeing section opening. I don't know where that is from. Let me just try and dig that out. This section is supposed to end somewhere. So the Euro section, the About Us section, and then we have our services section. Okay, the Euro section tag is what is here. So I have to cut this. And then after the Euro session, we're supposed to have a closing tag of the Euro session here. So if we tap here now, we should have the closing tag of our Euro session. You know, so sometimes you just have to look at your code and do a little bit of debugging. So we mistakenly just put everything. So if we had left that like that, to style this would have been a problem, you know, for us. But now we can easily style our Euro session and then style every session. We can have the closing tag here. Here we have the closing tag here. Okay, that's beautiful. So the last section here is going to be, so for refresh, we have UI, UX, we have graphic design. The last section is going to be the footer section. So let's create our footer section before we start styling. So let's have our comments here and say footer section. Okay, so in this footer section, we're going to create a section here, and let's call this section footer. ID of this section will be footer. So in the footer, we'll have just one item here, just the copyright information. That's all we have there. So let's go ahead and have that. Okay, so I wanted to do something. So inside here, I want us to have here footer. Okay, so this is where we're going to add our paragraph tag. So here, give it a copyright information. So this is our copyright information. And then to get this copyright sign, we're going to use what we call ampersand or and, as we call it, the and sign or ampersand sign. So we're going to use that ampersand, this, and then we're going to write copy and a semicolon, then space, and then let's write the other information, 2024. That is coding challenge. So let's say, all right. So this is our web page. All right, I've reserved here. Okay, let's make this caps. Okay, so what I wanted to do here is to have this ID here. So let's have this ID here and call it footer. Inside the footer section, and here I will just leave this as section without an ID, because every section has got an ID. So now we just hide this. This doesn't have a lot of work because it's just a one line. It's just to shift it to the center and maybe just change the background color. So we'll have a lot to do that. Okay. So let's save our work. And I think we are done with our HTML. So let's refresh and see. So here we have our footer section here. Okay. So guys, congratulations that you've followed up to this point. So now it's time to start styling, and you need to pay all the attention you have because we are entering CSS, okay? So please try and pay all the attention you can pay so that you can get everything this particular session has got to offer you. So let's go to our style sheet, and then we'll begin to style, and we'll start with the body just so we know if it's connected. We'll have to start with the body and see. So here, let's try to have fonts. We're going to have fonts that we use for our work. So I'm going to use area here. So I need to surround this with a pair of quotes, single quotes. So here, let me have your area. And then let me also have a sans serif. I think that's correct. Yes, sans serif. And I think that is okay for my test. So let's also remove all the padding. We don't have padding, so we don't want padding, so we'll give it padding 0, and then give it margin 0. That's the body of our work. And then let's give the text color. Let's give the text color white. So we use our hexagonal style. FFF is white. So that's 3F or 6F. So that will give us white. And then let's also have background color, and let's make that black. So something like that. Okay. Save. And let's see how our web page looks like right now. Beautiful. So meaning our style sheet is well connected. The background has turned to black, and then we have our text to 0, to white, and then padding 0, margin 0. See that this guy is very close to the wall of the web page now. So I think that is all we want for the body. So let's go ahead and start styling our nav bar. So here, our nav bar, we gave it a section ID. We have a section, okay, no section ID. So we're just going to use nav to style it because no section ID here. So let's go ahead and style our nav bar. So here we'll pick nav, which is our nav bar. So let's give it a background color. So I'll give it a shade of 333, somewhere around the gray family. And then let's give, I would just, for emphasis sake, let's give it a color of black. Sorry, color of white, which is FFF. And the next thing we do is to set our display. And then we're going to set our display to flex. We want our display to be flex. The next thing we'll do is to justify content. We want to justify the content of our navbar, and we want that to be spaced between so that it takes the logo to the left and then the menu to the right. And then let's also align the items inside to be center, something like that. And let's give it a padding so that we'll have padding around it. Let's give a padding of let's top and bottom, let's say that should be 10 pieces, something like that. And then let's give it 20 pieces or 30 pieces right and left. Then let's give it shadow, which might not be too visible because it's a black background, but let's give it more shadow. So let's give it 2%, and then let's give the blur property 5 pieces. Okay, and let's use our RGB here, and then here we'll say 0 for the red. And yeah, yes, let's also give this 0. The blur effect might not be very visible because we are using a black background, and then let's reduce opacity to 0.1 like that. So the last value is for opacity, and this is for red, green, and blue. All right. So just to have a bit of brush shadow, like I say, it might not be too visible because it's black background. Okay, and this is also black background, so it might not be too visible. So because say this is 00000 is black, if we change it to maybe something else that would change maybe 250, 255, 255, 255, we might have a difference. But okay, let's leave it at that and let's refresh and see what we have. Beautiful. So now we have our nav bar trying to shape up, with a shade of gray, and then our logo to the left and the menu to the right because of the space between. All right, so let's go ahead and maybe start with the logo. Pick the logo, and we have an ID for the logo, which is called, sorry, a class for the logo, which is called logo. So let's go ahead and style our logo here. We'll come down and then with the full stop, then logo, because it's a class. So we use the full stop before the logo sign. And here, let's increase the font size of our logo so that it looks a bit big. And let's increase that to, let's use RAM. So let's give it 1.5 RAM, or let's use EM. 5 EM. Let me see how that will look like. And then let's also give it a font width so that our logo looks a bit bold, and let's make that bold. Okay, so that we can have it bold. That's fine. So let's see how our logo is coming up. So refresh, and now we have this guy bold. So we're also going to style it in such a way that we can have it. We don't want the text decoration, and we don't want we want the color to be changed to white. So let's go ahead and do that. So here, because this is anchor tag, so we're going to use the A tag to target that. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. All right, so go back, and then here we're going to have our logo, dot logo, and then we have the A here. And here, let's do our fonts. Sorry, font color is color. So let's change the color inside here. Let's change the color to white. And that would be FFF. And then text decoration, let's have that as none. So let's see what we've got. Okay, so beautiful. No text decoration. And then we have our color changed to white, just like that. Or maybe we can give it the a shade of orange, just like we have here. Maybe we'll give it a shade of orange. Yeah. So we can give it a shade of orange rather than giving it white. So let's go ahead and do that. Or let's continue. We might come back to that. Let's just continue and do other styling. We have a lot of styling to do. So the next thing we're going to style, since we style a logo, will be our unordered list, the UL. The UL. So let's now style this guy. This guy is the one that is in charge of everything here. So let's style this UL. Okay. So here, what I will do, I will say nav, and then I will target UL inside nav. So even if you don't use nav and UL, you can still style it. But I just love to, make it, reference it to where I'm going to, so that this guy will understand that, okay, you are saying that inside the nav, there's a UL there, go inside the UL, and then style the UL. Okay. So let's go ahead and remove the bullet point that we have there. So list style, we're going to set it to none so that the bullet points will disappear. And then let's also display this to flex. Okay, display that to flex, and then let's have a gap in between them so that we have that space if we make them flex. Let's say 20 pixels for now. If it's not okay, we can increase it. And let's remove the margin. And let's also remove the padding. Okay. So we have this, and then let's see what we have. Let's refresh and see what we have. Okay. So now we have our nav bar looking, beautiful. Looking beautiful. I'm thinking if we can increase the height of the nav bar, or let's make this to be 2 pm. Refresh. Okay, that looks better. Okay, so let's go ahead. We have to remove the text decoration and then change this to white. We have to remove the text decoration and then change that to white so that we can have this in white, and then that underline will also disappear. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So now we're going to style the A inside our LI. So let's go and style the A inside our LI so that we're able to, just like we use here, the A to remove the color and give it white color, is the same thing we are doing here. So we're going to style this A now. So to do that, I will use reference. So I will say nav, and inside nav, I will say UL. Inside UL, I'll say LI and then A, something like that, just to reference them, So let's give it a color of white, which is HFFF. And let's give it a color of white, and then text decoration. Let's remove the underline. Text decoration, we say none. Okay. And the next thing we will do is to add a bit of padding to our font, the text. And let's give it maybe 10 ps for the top and bottom and 15 ps for the left and right. And let's display this, give it a display of block so that all the tests are displayed block in their own section. Okay, I think that is okay. So let's refresh and see how our website is looking beautiful. So now we have the space and then everyone is on their own so that by the time we add, so the block will just make this guy to stay on his own, this guy stay on his own. So by the time we add our over effects, you see that they are in blocks, okay? I think this is looking beautiful already. All right, what do you think? What do you think? I think this is looking beautiful already. So let's continue and let's have that over effect. We're going to style this and give it an over effect. So we still reference the same thing. So li and then a, and here let's give it an over effect. So the background color for the over effect will make that a shade of orange. So that will be hash ff 3600 shade of orange, something like that. And let's give it a border radius so that when we hover over it, you have a border radius. So let me show us right now. Right now, if I refresh this, you see it has, okay, so this is supposed to be in over. So let's correct that. Something is wrong. So this is supposed to be one with over. Then it gives us that this look, this block look. So we didn't add a pseudo there. So we're supposed to add the pseudo over. I think that's the issue. Yes, so here we're going to have add a pseudo here, and here we're going to call it over. So pseudo over, we've done that to over. So let's refresh and see. So if we over now, we see we have this block. But I don't want this guy to be a square. So let's give it a border radius so that we'll have a bit of radius that will make it look beautiful, just like we have in the other website. So here, let's just give it 5 ps radius and refresh. So you see, now we have this, the curved edge, which is beautiful. Let's change this to this same color. So logo, let's change it. This is it. So FF6600. So we should have that color now. Beautiful. Okay. Now let's go ahead. I think that is all for our nav bar. We are done with our nav bar. Everything we need to style, we are done with it. So we just take it one step after the other. You need to know where you are standing and what you are trying to style. It's very important. All right. We try to reference the A tag. So you know that when you're dealing with the text, is the A tag. When you're dealing with the box, you know that, okay, I am dealing with the UL of the nav bar. So you need to know where you are standing while you are styling. That is where you're going to have a bit of issues, but as you keep practicing, you will get these things by the day. Okay, let's go ahead and style our hero section. So our hero section, we're going to have the hero ID. So these are hero section. So the ID is 0, and then we'll style our hero section. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. CSS, and here we will use the hash sign because this is ID. So like I said, ID style is you represent that with the hash sign. Okay, so let's give it a display property, and we're going to give it a flex display property. So display, we say flex. All right, so the next thing we will do is to align the items inside our hero section, and let's align everything to the center. And then let's justify content also, and let's justify that also to the center. So that we'll have everything in the center. And then the background, so let's give it a background color. I would have loved to give it a background image, but the image I have, it's not something that I want us to use. It's not giving me what I want. So let's just give it a background color, and let's try and see how we can shift let's give it a shade of gray that is very close to black, something like that. So now we have the height. Let's have the height for it so that we have a certain height for our Euro section. I always love to have 100 VH for my Euro section. That's my standard. And let's also align the text inside our Euro section. Let's align that to the center. The next thing we'll do is to add the padding to our Euro section. Let's add just 20 ps padding. And then let's add a box shadow. Let's add the box shadow, and then this box shadow is going to be inset. That means we want it to be inside. Okay, and here top, and then the block value. Let's give that 10 ps, and let's use RGB for it's just what we use. So here, let me just increase this to maybe 3 for the opacity. All right, so I think that is it for our Euro section. Let's refresh and see, and then we can then style the content. So let's refresh and see what we have. Beautiful. So now we have our Euro section here, and then we have all this space because this guy has taken a space of 100 VH, something like that. And if you look at this black, you see that it's a bit slightly different. It's a different shade to this one. That's all I want us to have. So now let's go ahead and style the content, our Euro content, the content in our Euro section. So let's go ahead and style the Euro content, which is the div that carries everything there. Let's style it. Let's just give it a bit of styling. Euro content. So here is a class. So we're going to use a full stop and say Euro content. So the name has to be correct. If not, your styling will not work. So even when you are doing the right thing and the name is wrong, or the sign you attributed to it is wrong, you might not see the changes in your CSS. Okay. So here, let's give this guy a background color. Let's give the background color still around the shade of blue, of black, sorry. So let's give a background color, but that background color will still be around the shade of blue. So let's give it opacity of 0.6, just like that. And let's add some padding to the div. And let's give it 20 ps. Let's also add a border radius. I want us to have a border radius there in the content so that we can have something a bit in a round shape. Let's give that 8 ps. Okay. And let's see what we have. Let's refresh and let's see what we have. So this is what we have here. Our text color is really dark, so we can't even see it. So let's just play a bit with that and give it something like that. And let's see what we have. Still around the black area. Okay. Let's just continue. Let's try and style this and style this and style the button. We'll have 3 things to do here, and then we'll move to our next section. So here we'll style the Euro content. So let's style the H1 inside the Euro content. So how do we do that? First, we're going to locate the Euro content, and inside the Euro content, we'll locate the H1 tag. So we'll use our full stop, and then here we're going to say H1. So this will target the H1 tag inside our Euro content. So we'll just increase the font, and let's give it a font size of maybe 30 ps. I don't know if that's going to be big enough. Let's give it 3 em. That should be big enough. And then let's also have a margin so that it gives us margin from the, so let's give it a margin bottom. So it gives us a bit of margin from the paragraph text. So 20 ps. Let's see what we have. Let's see if the font size is okay. Okay, yeah, 20 ps space. I think that's okay. Okay, this is looking okay. So the next thing we'll style will be the p tag. So let's style the p tag. I will just copy this and paste here. And then here I will change the H1 to P. And here, let's also change the font size. We want this size to be a bit smaller. So let's give it like 1.2 em or 1.3 em. 1.3 em. And then let's also have a margin bottom so that it creates a space between the text and the paragraph and the button. So let's see what we have here. Yeah, so we have something like this. This is looking big. I think that's okay. Okay, so the next thing we'll do is to style the button. And I think we'll have an ID for the button. So we'll give it an ID, which is hero button. So let's go and style the button. Style the button. So here we're going to look for our button, which is hero button. Yeah. Okay, so here let's give it a display. We're going to display this inline block so that it will have that block shape. So let's give it inline block. Okay, and then let's also give it a padding so that the text is not close to the wall of the button. And let's give that 10 ps top and bottom, 10 ps top and bottom, and 20 ps right and left. Okay. So the next thing we'll do is to give it a background color. So let's give it a background color, and let's give it the same background color we have for that's the orange shade background color, this color. And let's give it a text color. So we'll give it say color. Let's make that white. So FFF for white. And then let's also remove the text decoration so that we take off the line under it, and we're going to say none, just like that, so that there's no decoration on the text. And let's also give it a border radius so that we have some curve at the edges of our button. And let's give that 6 ps. 6 ps, that should be fine. All right, let's see what our button looks like. So you see now we have our button looking somewhat like this. So let's add a transition and then a box shadow so that we have a box shadow for our button, and then also an over effect. Let's do that. So let's give it a transition. I want the transition to be a bit mild. So let's give it a transition, and let's give it background color. And then let's make this ease out, okay? So the transition is just for the background color, and it will just make it ease out. So let's give that 0.4 seconds just to make it ease out. Let's say ease, yeah, something like this. And then so let's give our box shadow here now. Box shadow. So 22 ps and 5 ps, just like that. And let's give it RGB of this. Okay, opacity of 0.1, that's fine. So let's go ahead and give it an over effect button, and here we'll just give it an over effect so that we have an over effect for it. Okay, so the over cover effect is for the background, and let's give that background same shade or just a different shade, just a bit of a different shade from what we have here, so that it will still be around the orange family. So let's give it CC5200. So it will just be around the same family. So that is, the transition is not too different. All right, so refresh, and here, yep, so you see that's the ease in transition, you know, something like that. Okay, so I think we've done justice to that. We've done justice to that. So the next thing we'll be doing is to style our about us section. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's style our about us section. Yeah, I know this video is, a bit long, but I just want us to get all this so that you know how to go about your websites. Okay, so you write your HTML, and then you write your style, write your HTML, write your style, and then just style it the way your client wants it or the way you want it to look like. So let's go ahead and style our about us section. And let's go. So about us, so this is our about us section. We are done with our Euro session, so the next session is the about us session. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I would do for our about us session, I will just pick the about us, and then we give it a background color, and because here we have just the header and the p tag here inside the about us section. So let's see how we can style that. And we'll have an ID here. The section ID is about. So here, let's go to hash about. Okay, and here we'll give it background color. Let's do a background color of let's just make that a shade of gray, or something very close to the family of gray. So A1, 1A, 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 something like that. So let's test align this to the center, and let's give it some padding. So let's give the padding, and this will be 60 ps. 60 ps for up and bottom, and then for left and right, let's make that 30 ps and see how it looks like. Okay, so let's refresh and see. Yep. Okay, I think that is looking okay. It's looking beautiful. So we can also decide to make our header tags to have this same color, so that the website will have a bit of color, right? So we can also decide to give this this color. So let's go ahead and do that. So here we are inside the about us section. Let's see if there's anything we need to use to style this. So okay, so we just use the ID to style it. So here we're just going to reference this about, and then we'll pick the H2. All we want to give this is just to give it color, the font color. So here color, and we'll use this family. So let's see what we have. Okay, something like that, right? So I think we can just do this for all of them, the H1 tag, so that the H2 tag, so that they have this orange color to add more flavor to our website. Okay, our website is looking pretty already. So let's go ahead and style the services. Let's style the services. So here we'll go to services. So we are done with about. So here let's go to services, and our ID is services. So let's pick that ID services and style it. So hash services, always make sure that the spelling is correct so that it will give you that change you're looking for. If not, you wouldn't have that change. So let's give it a background color. And so here I will just use 333. Okay. And I think that is all I want to do for the services. That's all I want to do for the services. The next thing I will style will be the service list. So we'll style the service list, that is the container that carries these other 3 containers that are inside here. So the service list is what we're going to style. So let's go ahead and do that. So here, this is a class, so we're going to use the full stop, and then we'll say service list, just like that. Okay, so here let's give it a display, and of course we want it to display flex. All right, so the next thing would be to justify the content that is inside, and want the content to be justified to center. Let's also give it a gap so that the boxes will have gaps between them, and let's give it a gap of 20 ps. Okay, so that is it for the service list. All right, so now we'll have our services this way. Now we need to also look for a way to move this guy to the center, that is the services to the center, and also style these other guys. So what I will do, section, and here padding, let me give it 60 ps and 20 ps, and test align to the center. So let's see. Okay, yeah, so that works for us. All right, so let's go ahead and give these guys their styling. These 3 guys here, let's give them their styling. So let's see, what's their class name. Their class name is service item. So we're going to use service item to style them. Service item, yep. So let's also give it a background color, and let's give it this shade of black. Then let's give them some padding also, and let's just make that padding 20 ps on all sides. And let's give them border radius, and let's make that border radius maybe 8 or 10. Let's make it 10 ps, and let's give it flex. So flex one, we just take this to the top of every other variant. We want it to be at the very top. And let's also give it a minimum width. So we're saying that the minimum width you should have should be 200 ps. It can be more than that, but the minimum, we don't shrink below 200 ps. Okay, and let's also have a box shadow here, and let's give a box shadow same shadow effect that we've been using. Let's give it the same shadow effect that we've been using all the while, which is this for all the process. Control S, and I think we are done with our services. So we have something like this. So let's go ahead and style our footer. So footer, we're just going to give it a background color. Background color of this 333, and let's give a padding of 20 px. Let's also test align it to the center, and then the color, let's make that white. Okay, so that's it for our footer. So we have this color now. So basically, we've been able to style our website. Not looking too pretty, but this is basic for you at this stage. Now, I want you to do this and do a screenshot of what you've done and send to me, to the comment section. I want to see what you've done. If you are able to do this to this point, please do a screenshot and send this to me. I want to see what you've done. All right, I want to see what you've done, and then let's do this and see. Let's do this and see. Please, I need that screenshot in the comment section. All right, so guys, thank you for. And then if you have your GitHub set up already, beautiful, send the code to your GitHub, and let me have the link. Just put the link on the comment section, and then I will take a look at your code. All right, guys, so thank you for staying tuned to this point. I know this is a very lengthy video, but yeah, I'm sure you've learned something. So see you again in our next section. Bye for